Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lama Life weekly broadcast event with Lama Tsultrim Allione. My name is Drimé, and I'm very happy to support you at these gatherings. Lama Life is an opportunity to come together as a community, to receive precious teachings from Lama Tsultrim Allione, and to engage in group meditation for the benefit of all beings. Last Sunday, we faced a global outage of the platform we use for the streaming of this program. And it was a helpful reminder for us not to take anything for granted. So right now, I'm inviting us to truly embrace that we can all be here today and to rejoice in the fact that the guest invited by Lama Tsultrim to last weekend's event has agreed to join us again for this interview. So now I have the great honor of welcoming our special guest, Venerable Sogan Rinpoche. Rinpoche was born in 1964 in the Golok region of Amdo in eastern Tibet, and he was recognized by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama as the 6th Sogan Rinpoche, and as a young man was enthroned at Awo Sera Monastery in East Kham, Serta, which he founded during his first incarnation as Sogan Rinpoche. He is also the head of Bayan Monastery in Golok. After leaving Tibet in 1991, Rinpoche has been serving the teachings of the Buddha, and in particular the early translation Nyingma school, in myriad ways through teaching, writing, transmission, and practice. Before I turn it over to Lama Tsultrim, I'd like to share a few reminders for our time together today. You are able to access all previous episodes of Lama Life through our YouTube channel. Excuse me. As each of our meetings is a unique opportunity to connect in this virtual environment, it's also an extraordinary occasion to share and learn together. I realize this can be intimidating, but don't be shy to submit your question to Lama Tsultrim, who created this space as a container for such sharing. Questions may concern your spiritual path or any life situations you need Lama's guidance in. We want to hear from you and connect this way. Having said that, right now, take a moment to say hello in the chat and share where you are checking in from today. At the end of our gathering, you will have the opportunity to offer Dana to Lama Tsultrim and Venerable Sogan Rinpoche, and later I will talk more about what Dana is. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about some upcoming programs at Tara Mandala, and these are truly remarkable offerings. You can join our mailing list to stay informed. I'd like to start with sharing a very special opportunity to receive oral teachings from our guest today, Venerable Sogan Rinpoche, on selections of the great treasure-revealing dakini, Sera Khandro Dewé Dorje. Rinpoche has a special relationship with Sera Khandro and holds the lineage of this great dakini coming through her own direct disciple, Chatra Sangye Rinpoche, to his disciple, Tengboche Rinpoche, Nawang Tenzin. The online teachings will be offered weekly from this coming Wednesday, April 20th to May 25th, with the translation to English by Christina Monson. And it's not too late to join. Also coming up is a weekend virtual retreat on April 23rd and 24th called Inhabiting the Boundless Heart, a yoga and meditation retreat. This virtual program is from our Share the Dharma initiative and offered completely free of charge through the generosity of sponsoring donors. In this retreat, participants will explore fundamental Buddhist teachings, learn the meditation practice of shamatha, and experience accessible yoga and movement practices designed to inspire a sense of groundedness and connection. Beginning on April 29th, we have the start of our Mahayana, Opening the Heart of Compassion online course. The Mahayana, or Great Vehicle Teachings of Buddhism, emphasize the cultivation of compassion and wisdom as a way to walk one's path. We will explore the key historical developments that took place during this great period of enrichment in Buddhist thought, such as the Prajnaparamita Sutras, Madhyamaka, and Yogacara philosophies, and the concept of Buddha nature. This 8-week program will consist of a weekly lecture and virtual group meditation practice session. Lastly, every Thursday morning, starting May 19th, Pali Ryan will be leading the Zhitro practice online at 7 a.m. Pacific time. You can take the online course to receive teachings on this, and Lama will be giving the oral transmission of this Zhitro before that day on Lama Live. It's a practice for the deceased, and you can also do it for those you do not know, such as the victims of the Ukraine war or COVID. It's a great honor to now welcome the founder and spiritual director of Tara Mandala, Lama Tsultrim Allione. Thank you, Lama Tsultrim.
Greetings, everyone. Very happy to be with you. I was just out in this little cul-de-sac where I live, and they were having an Easter egg hunt, and my Ukrainian neighbor came up to me and gave me this symbol of Ukraine. Do you like it? She was really in a very difficult space when the war started, and I did Feeding Your Demons with her around what was coming up for her about Ukraine, and really helped her. So she was grateful, and grateful also that we continue to do this practice for Ukraine of the 13th Tara. So there will be a link for the Zhitro. I'm just seeing that comment come up when that's happening. Yeah, the sunflower is a symbol of Ukraine, in case you don't know. See, Khandro Dewé will just put up some sunflowers. So let's take a moment now before we begin to do a little 13th Tara practice and emanate toward those beings in Ukraine and Russia and Poland and everyone affected by this war. I think it's important to keep in mind that many Russians are not for this war, and not to just feel like you are upset with all Russians. This is their leader. And of course, there are people behind it, but it's not everyone. And also, if they're doing it and creating bad karma, we should have compassion for them as well for that. So let's take a moment and do a little bit of that practice. The 13th Tara is dark red. We'll sound the tam syllable, and we'll then generate ourselves as her. And on her Utpala flower, which is over her left shoulder, there is an open vajra. Usually vajras are closed. The prongs at the top are closed. These are open. Thank you. Visual aids. And from that vajra and from her are coming rays of fire, and also little vajras that are going toward that situation and any other situation of war in this world at this time. And they are flashing toward that and stopping it. So the 13th Tara stops war. And so her name is Yülle Gyaljema. And Lopan Chandra is actually on this call today. I think I saw her come in. Will be teaching that a little more in depth than I have next week on Sunday, the 24th of April. And then May 8th, Krishnadas will be with me. And May 22nd, it will be Peter Oosthausen and Charlotte Rotterdam. Okay, so let's sound the tom. And first, before we do that, let's raise Bodhicitta, the heartfelt intention to be together for the benefit of all beings. And then 3 toms, and we'll do some of that mantra. Maybe put up the image of Yülle Gyaljema. And now the next one, the light goes out to all the wisdom beings, the Jnanasattvas above us, the enlightened beings, and inviting their wisdom to come into us. And then that wisdom comes back into our visualization, Samaya Sattva, and we become her fully. And now as we do a little bit of this mantra, we'll send her fiery light and those little vajras to the Ukraine and anywhere else there's war, stopping that war. Our collective energy doing this is very powerful. So I encourage you to do it. The mantra is Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajra Raksha Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajrazwala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Om Tare Tutare Ture Vajasvala Pet Pet Raksha Raksha Swaha. Thank you. And then dissolve ourselves, our body, which is now the 13th Tara, into the luminous sphere in our hearts with the seed syllable Tam in the center. It's a dark red sphere. And then that also dissolves and rests in primordial purity. And now dedicate the merit of that little practice to benefit all beings. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Happy Easter. And now I'd like to welcome Venerable Sogan Rinpoche, who's going to be our guest today. It's the first time I've had a guest who isn't in the place that I am doing this, so we're very excited to be able to do this. And I already heard the short bio from Drimé, so I won't give that, but just say that we're so fortunate to have Rinpoche with us today. Thank you. Tashi Dele Rinpoche La.
Tashi Dele.
Rinpoche is in Northern California. I'm in Southern California. And
That's right.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Tashi Dele. Happy Easter. Wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm very happy to be here. Lama Tsultrim asked me join with her this live stream. But usually I not using a live stream. This is, I think, the first time. So I always using my translator when I give talk, teachings. But I guess today I just informal meeting talk. So I just wanted to accept Lama Tsultrim's wishes. Well, you have a nice flower in your head.
Yes, this is symbol of Ukraine.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And also
we have to pray in Ukraine. And all over the world, there's many problems as we are in the samsara, particularly in Ukraine, suffering whole country so much. So without angry toward the Russian, that's not good. So we have to compassion toward them, and then we have to pray that this terrible war ending soon, and everyone peace, happy life, freedom.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions that I prepared to ask you. And I also wanted to show people this book because I love this book.
Oh,
It's Rinpoche's biography, and it's so beautifully written. It's called Dreams and Truths from the Ocean of Mind, Memoirs of Pema Lodro, the Sixth Sogan Rinpoche, Sogan Toku of Tibet. So it's published by Tibet House, actually. But it's beautifully written, and there's a lot of his poems in it that are beautiful Dharma transmissions in themselves. So it's a really special book. For me, reading it, I felt so inspired to meet Rinpoche. We did meet 15 years ago, but I had never received any teachings from him or really hadn't known him well. And I read this and I thought, wow, this is really a treasure that we have in America, this person. And I need to connect with him and invite him to teach at Tara Mandala, which he has a few times now, and now he will again. So my first question, Rinpoche, is you're going to be teaching on the Shaldam of Sera Khandro. And so I wanted to ask you, what is a Shaldam? How would you explain that?
I see. Sheldom means like a child who has guiding from the parents or the teacher at the school, guiding them, that teach them the good things what they to do and how avoid the other things that's not good for their life. So similarly, according to the spiritual, the Lama or Derton, whatever, the master tells the students who has faith, devotion, and trust him or her, then sometimes there's many different ways of the Sheldon, that sometimes they get particular the person who request, and then they give the Sheldon the advice for he or she. Depends on the situation they ask. And then sometimes they're writing down the advice or Sheldon for everyone. And then it's generations. So, and when we came to this world, no matter rich and poor, Lama or ordinary, male, female, we'll be here temporarily, and then somehow we'll be gonna go. So, and then such a master who has the ability and their visions, they write down their wishes, their advice, mostly to the future generations, especially the followers. So on the Sheldons, as I say, there's many ways. Sometimes he or she advise about how to practice, and then many things advise that many different ways. That's the Sheldon, I think.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rinpoche. And I think that Sera Khandro's Sheldon are special, very deep and meaningful. So that's amazing. So the next question I have is, can you explain your past life connection to Sera Khandro?
I don't remember anything. I'm getting old. I can't even remember last week. So, mostly the Sera Khandro's autobiographer, very big book that haven't translated into English yet, but Christina Monson, she's working on. And then also Sarah Jacob, she wrote a book, published about Sera Khandro. So on those books has a lot of details about Sera Khandro's life story. So Sera Khandro is she was born very noble, high, family in central Tibet, in Lhasa. And then somehow she follow her, let's say, a root teacher to the east in the Golok area. And then most of her life spent in east in Golok area. So during that time, as she is a human form, she has, when we reading her stories, there's so many sad stories, difficult stories, so many things. So that's the detail in the book. But then while she was in Golok area, she met many masters, and she received many teachings, especially her root teacher is Drimé was there, and also Dunjum Lingpa. So, and the fourth Sogan Rinpoche, not so rounder, who is also the student of Tuku Drimé, and then he is also a treasury holder of Tuku Drimé. So Sera Khandro and Sogan Rinpoche kind of like a special Dharma brothers, sisters during that time. And then time goes away, and one by one, Dunjum Lingpa went to passed away, and then later Tuku Drimé also passed away. So after that, Sera Khandro has nobody taking care of her. She just wandering around. So that Sogan Tuku was one of the oldest student of Tuku Drimé. I think Tuku Drimé also mentioned him that when he passed away, and Sogan Rinpoche have to taking care of Sera Khandro. So we don't know there's some cause conditions, but anyway, Sogan Rinpoche brought her to his monastery, which is a Sera monastery, east of Tibet. And then Sogan Rinpoche helped her to spread her teachings, and fourth Sogan Rinpoche was a pretty well-known teacher around that area. So he introduced many of his students to Sera Khandro, and then slowly there are many regions and monasteries, communities invite her, and she began to teach. So before then, she was just like a ordinary lady who has family, but she has the many treasuries that haven't published it. But then Sogan Rinpoche is helping her to collect her treasuries and later publish it. So sometimes her autobiographer mentioned that Sogan Rinpoche is like she said, a friend who is dear to me as are my own heart and eyes. So such very close friends. And then Sogan Rinpoche was pretty old. So Sera Khandro, and at some point she wanted to, want to go her homeland once more to Lhasa. So in that time, in Tibet is a pretty big country. So there was no airplanes, no cars. So everyone had to go by foot or by horse. So it took a long time. So she has a plan to go home. And also she received a very special invitation from Rinpoche Jamgun, which is the Kham area. There's a big monastery. So he sent some students to Sera region that he wanted to meet her. And she accepted the invitation. So then she has want to go to the west, but she feel uncomfortable while Sogan Rinpoche is still alive. She doesn't want to leave behind him, so she kind of waiting for him. So later, when Sogan Rinpoche passed away, and then she did all the rituals like in Tibet. When people passed away, they do 49 days special rituals and prayers. So lamas, lay people, everyone. But she did everything like that. So soon as done this work, then she left from east and then toward the west. And then she finally reached the Rinpoche area. At that time, I think she was late 40s. And then she spent there a year or so. She was a retreat there, and she gave some teachings there. Finally, she went to Rinpoche Monastery, met Rinpoche Jamgun. So she gave teachings. So during that time, she was pretty ill. So, and then her health conditions declined. So she couldn't survive. So then she passed away in Rinpoche monastery. So when her story, there's many things mentioned about Sogan Rinpoche. So that's why we can see that there's connections. Other than, I don't know, I can't remember anything.
That's a very deep karmic link that you have with her.
Yeah, so, and then when I was in Tibet, when I heard Sera Khandro, I have sometimes very close feelings, but I didn't know her treasure, the teachings, and who has the lineages. So later, when I came to India, and then one time I visit Nepal, I think around 1998, and I met Zhitro Dorje and received some teachings. Because Zhitro Dorje and my teacher, Khenpo Mensa, has the same teacher, who's Khenpo Ngapchong. So I really want to see him. So I traveled to the Parpan, Nepal, and saw him there. I received some teachings. And then he gave me transmission of Sera Khandro's Guru Yoga Sadhana and some other teachings. And that time he told me that if you are real Sogan Rinpoche, you have to take care of Sera Khandro's lineage. He very strongly told me. So then I felt that, oh, maybe I should more study and practice this lineage. So then time passed by. I went back to India and came to USA. Many years I didn't have chance to study these treasuries. And then later, one day I felt that I must do this one. So then I travel to Nepal, try to see Jatu Sanjiran Dorje Rinpoche again, but at that time nobody can see him. So, but I got advice from him that I could receive teaching from his hot son, disciple, Tambuchi Rinpoche. So that's why I received all Sera Khandro's teachings from Tambuchi Rinpoche. So it's now I started 2014. Tambuchi Rinpoche was very old. His vision is very, very weak. So it's very difficult reading transmissions, everything. But I took it a couple of years and then finished everything. So since then, I'm practicing for Guru Yoga. And so now I can feel that it's a very, very profound. This is a special teaching. And yeah, it really helps me for my daily practice. Yeah.
Wow. It's such a interesting story to hear about these karmic connections and how you had to find it and then took a long time to actually get it. And yeah, it's not a definite thing that these transmissions will happen and that we will receive them and be able to practice. So I'm so glad that you were. And Christina was with you, right, at that time?
Yes,
with Rinpoche.
Christina, and there was a few disciples. Tambuchi Rinpoche was very traditional. You know, he doesn't want to advertise his teachings. He doesn't want accept many students. So during that time, Christina and the Shechen Campbell, Ishi Johnson, Mandrelin Campbell, Teochew Johnson, Lama Sean, and then was very few students. Yes, Christina was there, yes.
Yeah. So I have another question that is back in Tibet. When you met your root Lama, Kimbo Munsel, who you call Lama Rinpoche, and began to study and practice with him, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what that was like. Like, where did you live and where did you practice and what kind of schedule did you have? And just, I'd love to get a picture kind of what that was like studying with him, because I know he was really extraordinary Lama.
Yes, when I mention my teacher's name, talk about him, I'm pretty emotional. So, but yes, I had very fortunate to meet such a amazing living being, you know, in Tibet, and studying and had chance to practice myself. So up to now, when I look back, I was very, very fortunate. You know, I didn't have chance to go to ordinary regular school to learn all these technologies, all this modern education, but due to my wonderful parents support me and my uncle. So I had able to go to see my teacher. So at that time I was around 18 or 19 years old, and Bayan Monastery. And Lama Rinpoche was just released from the prison camp, but he is not teaching much at that time. Just Chinese allowed to practice and rebuild the monastery. So at that time, some of the senior monks from Bayan Monastery went to Lama Rinpoche, and they came back. When I heard his name, then I asked them how he looked like, where is he, what he gave you teaching, a lot of questions, and they told me, everything. So then I was so moved. I just feel like I must go to see him. So then I was at Bayan Monastery with my uncle, Gaelic, and he is very strict, very traditional Lama, that he doesn't want me go anywhere. And also I have charge of monastery. I have some duties there. But finally, I got permission from them, and I contacted my parents. So then one of the monk who went to see him, his name Danchu, older monk, he has planning to go to see Lama Rinpoche end of the summer. So I asked him that it's possible I can go with you. And he says he'll happy to take me there. And then my uncle and my parents also feel very comfortable if I go with the Danchu, who's a wonderful monk. So I travel with Danchu by horse from Bayan Monastery to Lama Rinpoche's place. That time it took almost 4 days by horse. So we met Lama Rinpoche, and I mentioned my book. There's more detail how we met him. So I can't wait. So when we're getting close, I keep asking Danju how far we need to go. I really want to see him. So he said, just be patient. We are on the way. You will see him soon. So then the day we arrived, Lama Rinpoche's hermitage, there is a river, we have to cross the river, and Lama Rinpoche's place is just right after the river called Niche. So when we arrived by the Niche, we can see that there was some few tents. So, and then she pointing that area, he said that Lama Rinpoche's hermitage is over there. So I feel something very, very special, kind of like, shaking. I just numbed. It's a very, very unthinkable feeling. So then finally, we went close to his tent. He was outside. So then we went to see him and offer some kadas, the prostitution. And he was just holding my hand, and he said that, don't worry, I'm taking care of you. No problem. Make sure you can stay here longer. So then immediately I told him that as long as I take, I'm going to stay with you. My body, speech, mind, everything offered to you. I'm in yours. Please teach me, guiding me to benefit all sentient beings. I want to hold your lineage. So I request many words with my tears. So then Danju, we stay there a month, and then Lama Danju back to home. we're supposed to go back home together. But then I said, I'm not going home. And then she beginning, he said, we have to go. I promised to your uncle and parents. What can I tell them, without you when I go home? I said, it's okay. So then I stayed there continually. Later, my parents visit me. They bring all the necessary things for me, like a tent and food. So, and then I was continuing to stay with the Lama Rinpoche, and he gave teachings and meditations. Yes.
And
I was
so,
very fortunate, very, very wonderful time.
what was it like once you started practicing with him? Like, did you live in a tent? Did you practice in the tent? Did you go up in the mountains, or was there a monastery, or what? Can you kind of paint the picture for us of like maybe what a normal day would be like for you when you were practicing under him?
Yes. I have a little tent, and the Lama Rinpoche has a tent by the yak hair we call Ba. He's living there. And then I have a pretty good tent. It's very thick material. During the winter, very good. So, and then Lama Rinpoche, we trade our tent because I offer him mine's better than him. So I don't want to be better than his living conditions. So I offer him, and I was living his tent, and he was staying in my tent. So it's during the winter, really, really cold. And I was young. I missed my parents and my friends. It was pretty, difficult in time. But I had, receiving teachings. Lama Rinpoche is really, really taking care of me. But the living conditions in Tibet are not so easy. When you practice, when you go retreats, not like when we go retreat here, we have, retreat cabin, bathrooms, showers. Yeah, if they're cold, we have heat. If it's hot, we have air conditions. Many, things, but we don't have like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. There's something about the simplicity of those conditions that's really conducive to practice. Also, in our retreat cabins in Tara Mandala, we don't have running water, and we don't have electricity, and it's very simple. And in those conditions, I think it's more conducive to practice, really, even though it's maybe not as comfortable. You're also very close to nature, and it's something in that situation.
Yeah, especially later, I had solitary retreats in the South Lhasa, Tsirinjong, Yarlung Sheta, Zorin Karmar, all those sacred places. I had very, very little food. So I ate only once a day. When I do a retreat, I just talk once a month, always silent. When I reached India, I was so thin. I lost a lot of weight. But I survived.
Yeah, well, that's what the Buddha did. Buddha ate once a day. And again, not eating so much. Also, I think it's a clarity of mind. When you're not digesting, big heavy meals every day.
I remember very clear one time I was in Shillong retreat, which is the Tsongkhapa's, the five, the preliminary practice there. It's a very sacred place near Zhangri. So I was there during the summer, and then my food ran out. So one day I went out to begging some food in the village. I have empty bags and I carry it. I have very long sticker. So I remember very clear one morning I went to town, saw that a lady who was milking the cows. I asked her, can I have some food? And she said, she was very, very nice. She said, okay, wait there. And she went inside. Took a little while. I was waiting outside. I leaned here. I was very, something mixed feeling rising my mind. I thought, oh my God. It's, for example, now my health, I'm very, very weak, very thin. I never shower. I'm very dirty, and holding some empty bags. Someone's outside waiting for food. If this is, I got imagining that if my parents, the monks, can see me now, how they're thinking, what I'm doing here. When I was in Tibet, I had a lot of monks and attendants, everyone taking care of. I get best food, best clothing, everything. But then I was thinking, oh my God, if they see me now, what are they thinking? At the same time, I remember that when Bodhicitta, he left from the kingdom behind his beautiful wife and son, everything, and he went to the mountains. He did there many retreats. And then also in Tibet, like Milarepa, of course, and the Longshan Ramjam, even Tsongkhapa, and he was a very scholar and very famous. But then somehow he has vision of from Manjushri told him that you need more practice, you need more retreat to accomplish your practices. So that's why he came to Shillong retreat, which is was a retreat. So I remember those masters' stories. So compare them, I am nothing, but I'm just trying to follow their footsteps. I was very rejoice with myself. Yeah, I remember this thing.
Did the old lady bring you some food?
Oh yes, of course. She bought one plate as a zamba. He put in a little butter on the top. It's beautiful, It's a very warm, smiling, respected. She gave it to me. Yeah. Send it back to home. I did soap. I did give to her, but I didn't get her name. Otherwise, I can write down her name. It's really special for me. But I wrote that story in my book.
Yeah. That just to mention some of the places that Rinpoche just mentioned. One was Zhangri Kamar, and that's the seat of Machi Lapdran in Tibet, where she lived for most of her life, her adult life. And then he also mentioned Seringjong, which was Jigme Lingpa's place. And I've actually been to both those places. And I remember in Seringjong, there were a lot of crystals. The actual really beautiful big crystals. I think I still have some of those that were just found around there. Very special place.
Very special place.
Yeah. So I think I've got time maybe for
time run out.
Yeah. I guess
we can some prayers.
Maybe you can do some prayers for like 5 minutes, and then we'll come back on and close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do some prayers. The prayers it really helps. so we can sending the energy to all the sentient beings, be free from samsara, especially those who has a difficult suffering due to the war and sickness. So many, each or every one us has the problems. Particular those has the, difficult, really heavy problems over there, everywhere, especially Ukraine and Syria, many ways. So we can pray for them. Okay, so I'm going to say some mantras and prayers in Tibet.
Can I just interrupt you for a minute? Before we begin that, there's some people that have written in requests to be prayed for. And so I'd like to read their names so we can include them in our thoughts when we do it.
Okay.
So Florencia Farias in New York, Yulia Petrova and her children, Tatiana and Franz Kiel in Germany,
Okay.
Salme and her family in Afghanistan. He tried to get his mother Jamila out to Pakistan, but she died on the way to the Afghan border.
Oh.
Georgia Kaminotti in Athens, Greece. Mikeia Berliba in Bucharest, Romania. Anne Clow in Charlotte, Canada. Memphis Core in Portland, Oregon. Maren Pol in Hagen, Germany. Anna Gredina in Kiev, Ukraine. Hella Krauter, Sonia and Johnny. Heidem and Brents in Brents, Germany. Valley Stearns Anderson in Sackville, New Brunswick, Canada. She's in palliative care now. So those are some special names, and please, Rinpoche, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Sanji Chudang Zodi Yonam La Janje Bardo Dane Javanje Dagi Jenzo Jibi Donam Je Dola Bejer Danji Dubaryo She Dambo Janje Jodo Duje Molana Toji Rovi Donde Dande Donger Male Baba Jare Velo Omana Beme 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 Ore Gewale Okay, 3 minutes meditate.
Thank you. Thank you, Rinpoche. And before we end, maybe we can post again. Yeah, you're thinking
Yeah,
our minds
few
are like.
minutes meditate together.
So I just want to mention. Did you want to say something, Rinpoche?
We can meditate for 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. It was so precious to hear those stories and imagine you in your past life and also in this life. And I believe her name is Sera Khandro because of being at Sera Monastery. So that was a very important place for her. And it sounds like supported her. It seems like we wouldn't maybe even know about Sera Khandro. So I think it's very fitting and very special that you will be teaching her teachings to us. And I wanted to say that we have a strong connection with the Adzam lineage in Tibet, from Azamgar at Tara Mandala, and Sera Khandro also had a connection with Azam Drupa. So,
Yes.
yeah, so there's lots of links. And, none of these things are by accident, just that you were here today, all of you who are listening, you heard these stories. That's karma. It's not by chance. So take that karma and follow it and attend these teachings. I think it will really very special. And I wanted to remind people also that we do have a Zhitro list at Tara Mandala for people who have died. We do Zhitro every day, and you can send your name, the name of that person and their location and photograph if you have one, to info@taramandala.org. And then we will add them for 49 days. We practice for people. And also there will now be this group Zhitro practice weekly, which is fabulous. Started that because of the death of Sarah Lowe, and now it's going to be continued by Polly. So thanks everyone, and let's take a moment and dedicate the merit and of this whole time together. We can do a silent dedication, and may it benefit all beings, this time that we had together. And especially let's send auspicious wishes for Rinpoche's longevity, long life. And thank you. I think Drimé is going to come on again for a minute. And I'll see you week after next. And remember, Lopan Chandra will be taking the whole Lama Live next week on the 24th of April. She'll be here teaching on Tara and the 13th Tara in particular. So that'll be next, and then I'll be back the week after. Lots of love, everyone.
Thank you, Lama, for your generosity in offering us this space to come together, to practice and receive teachings. We make many aspirations for your long life and continued good health. Thank you, Venerable Sogan Rinpoche, for offering us the opportunity to receive the precious teachings of Sera Khandro during your upcoming retreat at Tara Mandala, and for coming today to bless us with your wisdom. Dear audience, thank you for sharing your time as we continue to grow as a community. The presence of each of you is a gift. At this point, I want to remind you that you can make a dana offering to Venerable Sogan Rinpoche and Lama Tsultrim. And for those of you who may not be familiar, dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word meaning generosity, and dating back to the time of the Buddha, there has always existed an interdependence between those who offer the teachings and those who receive them. Dharma teachings are traditionally offered on the basis of dana to a teacher in recognition of the precious gift that was given. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us today. May all beings benefit everywhere.
Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu